Okay, don't send him a message, that's Paul.
Okay. Now, today we're going to be dealing with our initiative and our policy, the policy we have drafted, and probably ask a few questions with respect to the policy as well. Okay, and do some correction because every employer who wants to see that you are used to policy making with respect to data governance. Okay, good to see you all today. Okay, right. Okay, we have, we can start with your initiative first, and I want you to always be used to the initiative. So, James, if you have one, please, all ears open. Lara, can you tell us what you have done over the years, and can you just tell me what you have done for over the years, and say yourself within a short space of time.
Okay, sir. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ojobo James. In my previous employment at Agtech Logistics Company, I was assigned by management responsible to develop and implement a robust and sustainable program which supports the sustainability in the business operations to ensure reduced shipment delays, improve billing accuracy, and guarantee regulatory compliance in a post-COVID-19 pandemic landscape. The situation appeared to be brownfield, but technically it was a greenfield. To achieve the set exercise, I adopted a 90-day roadmap strategy. Within the first 1 to 30 days, focus was on establishing foundation for governance structure and defining scope. I established a data governance council. I identified the critical data elements, assigned roles to data owners, stewards, and custodians. I drafted an initial data quality policy. Then for compliance, I identify applicable regulations like the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2004, IATA, ISO 28000. I conducted a current state assessment reviewing fragmentations across ERP, WMS, TMS, and customer relations management systems, at which point I communicated the initiative to stakeholders comprising of executives and staffs. It was geared at securing leadership buy-in. Now at day 31 to day 60, I embarked on implementation of standards. I set up monitoring systems, created data standards and formats, set data quality rules. I implemented data quality controls in systems, launched a pilot monitoring dashboard for KPIs to monitor shipment errors rates, billing error percentage, timeliness of updates. Then I conducted a training workshop for staffs on new policies and standard. Then I carried out a data cleansing campaign, which at this point I decided to introduce scalability enablers, where I deployed governance technology stacks. I also used the cloud-based management systems. I did an automated data quality control in the TMS, WMS, CRM, then extended the framework to include new markets, carriers, and partners. Then I standardized the API/EDI data exchange governance, where I also embedded global compliance regulation requirements. At this point, I also collaborated with the IT department on a network security, where we did intrusion detection and prevention, firewalls, data loss prevention, encryption. Then for access control, it was on a role-based access control, and then the principles of least privilege. Then at the day 61 to day 90, we then launched the monthly governance review, which was overseen by the data governance councils to track KPIs and compliance. Then we now expanded the monitoring dashboard to all core domains of the business. Then we embedded escalation workflows for data issues. We began the predictive analytic pilot for the AI and machine learning to detect anomalies and shipment times and billing. Then we also did an update with lessons learned, which were embedded in the operational SOPs. The outcome of at the end of the 90 days where we had a working data governance framework and policy in place, data quality monitoring dashboard went live, staff trained and were accountable. Then we noticed a 20% drop in billing errors, 15% faster order updates. At the end of the exercise, I got a raise and commendation from management. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How long did you spend in this?
Because I used the 90-day strategy, so it took 3 months to
No, no, what I mean, in your delivering it right now, how long did it take you?
I assume I went within 3 to 4 minutes because I know I did initial timing. First time it was 6 minutes, then I did the timing, it came down to 4 minutes.
Okay. So, any question from anybody? We have to be more objective in our questions. Any question from anyone?
Mine is not really a question. I was thinking it was a bit long if you're going to be if you're being interviewed and you take this long. I think you might wear them out. So I think you had a good initiative, but I think the delivery was a bit long. That's just a slight comment. But other than that, I think you pointed out different bits which helped to show that you collaborated with stakeholders. You touched a few points which were very key, but all in all, apart from it being like the percentage delivery seems to be too long. Thank you.
Right? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, His Excellency. Any other person?
I agree with His Excellency. It was a little bit long, though I only caught the middle bit because I was my phone was messing up. So, but the parts ahead, I felt it was not captivating enough, to pique my interest.
Okay.
I think the first time he presented, I preferred that first presentation.
Okay. Any other person? Okay. Now, thank you so much, James. It was a fantastic presentation anyway. The only thing is like you were rushing it to meet up. Yeah, in an interview, there are things you don't even need to say. Let them ask you questions based on the detail of what you have carried out. Okay? So what will happen is that probably you need to, I believe you were reading from what you put down. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, send it to me and
Okay.
I will make it shorten for you so that you can speak so clearly, not rushing.
Okay.
You need to just articulate. Yeah, that shows that you got so much in you, but give them, the bones, and then they will ask questions for more flesh. So then on that basis, you can, say more, put more flesh in it if needed. To be quite honest, you really had a very good initiative. but just know the terms you should use at the time, shorten it, and then you may be prompted later to add flesh to it. So say something within 2-3 minutes short and make sure send it to me. And I love that initiative. Do several of that differently, because by the time you finish your certification now, place you are ready to go for a job. And the other side of it is about the policy that you may talk about today. Another thing you must understand is that while we do this thing, we always want people to come up with their video. You're speaking to someone you might not be reading. So, or even if you want to read, you put it by the side of your computer, because most interviews are online anyway. So if you put it by the side of a computer, let it see your face, like, as I'm speaking, and you relate to it. Something that you're already used to. Even if you have a little eye that goes this way or this way, in either way, one word from what your eye have seen, you can explain it because you'll be doing it all the time. So very important. So if any of you really want to do, it will be appropriate that you show yourself on video and you're talking to someone. And if you are not comfortable in doing it now, please learn it. Because you're going to continue to do this until such a time you got a job, which is very important. Okay, I hope everyone is here with their policy, the chosen one, so that we can talk about it. So before
Sorry, Paul just said he's having network problems, sir.
yeah, okay. Boys, it will come back again. Please, have you got initiative to give up? Thank you, James, for telling us. Please, were you able to talk where you are, because I know you're at work?
Sir, I can't say anything now because I'm busy, please. I'm sorry, sir.
No problem. Because
Sorry, sir.
you said that earlier that you are at work. Okay. But when you're able to talk, please do not hesitate to let us know.
Yes, I will.
Otherwise, you can also send across your policy you drafted and we can incorporate it. Hello?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. James, have you got your policy here?
So I have my policy.
Okay. Do you want to talk us through the policy you have prepared? Barrister,
Okay. Yes,
Barrister, you're welcome.
the policy was based on the same logistics company. So it was a policy, data security and access control policy. The purpose of the policy was to establish a framework for securing hashtag logistics data assets and controlling access to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and validity of critical information across our logistics operations, partners, and customers. While the scope comprises all employees, contractors, third-party service providers, and partners who handle hashtag logistics data, all forms of data, whether digital, paper, cloud, or premises.
Hold on first. Hold on. I
Yes,
want
sir.
to know what policy are you?
I was on data security and access control policy,
Data
sir.
security and access control. Yeah. I didn't hear you properly. I think others may have heard you anyway. Okay. Right on. Right on.
So the scope applies, like I said, to all employees, contractors, third-party service providers, and partners who handle hashtag logistics data. All forms of data, whether digital, paper, cloud, or premises systems, and Internet of Things in the supply chain. So the core systems of this scope will also cover transportation management systems, there's TMS, WMS, CRM, and other aspects. The objectives of the policy is to protect sensitive logistics data, ensure that only authorized individuals have access to specific data assets, reduce risks of data breaches, cyber attacks, and unauthorized disclosures, which will now comply with the global data protection standards, the ISO 8000, and the Nigerian Data Protection Acts. Now, for roles and responsibility, Data Chief Information Security Officer will oversee enforcement of this policy. The IT and security team implements technical safeguards. Departmental heads ensures role-based access within teams. Employees are responsible for adhering to secure data handling practices. Then third-party vendors must comply with hashtag security and access protocols. For access control, it will down to role-based access control, where access granted strictly on least privilege and need to know principles. Operation staffs, shipments and routing data. Finance staffs will handle billing, payments, and financial data, while customer service order status and CRM data, while management will now handle strategic and aggregated reports. Authentication requirements will be on a multi-factor authentication for all system logins, strong password policy also. Then for account management, immediate deactivation of accounts upon employee exit, regular review of document and dormant account and access rights will be done quarterly. For data security measures, inscriptions in data transit, encrypted via TLS/SSL. Data at rest will be on ES256 encryption. Devices security will comply with company issued laptops and handhelds must have endpoint protection. Fleet on Internet of Things devices secured with unique credentials and monitored for anomalies, while the network security is restricted access to data centers and warehouse with biometrics or card-based entry. Monitoring and auditing all users' activities logs in retained for 12 months. Real-time monitoring for suspicious activities, then quarterly internal audits and annual external security assessments. For incident response, any breach or unauthorized access must be reported within 1 hour to the Chief Information Security Officer. Incident response team activated to contain, investigate, and remediate. Customers and regulators notified in compliance with the governing laws. Third-party access, vendors must sign in data processing agreements. API and EDI integrations secured with encryption and authentication tokens. Regular audits of vendors' compliance with hashtag security standards must be carried out. Therefore, compliance and enforcement, which is legal, all parties must adhere to the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation Act, GDPR, IATA, ISO 8000, and relevant customs/trade regulations. Non-compliance may result in disciplinary action, termination of contract, or legal actions. Policy reviewed annually or when business/technology changes occurs. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're done. We're done. We're done. James, we're done. Has anybody got anything to say about that policy? Yeah, let me join His Excellency to clap for you as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you see, yeah, you actually really, oh, anybody want to speak?
No, I think he covered all aspects of the policy.
The policy, yeah.
To cover, yes.
Yeah, I was really thinking that it will not be able to get to the enforcement and the review cycle of that particular policy. That is really stunning. You were able to, start with the purpose overview of the policy and say what it entails. When you made mention on it, yeah, this policy defines how an organization, which of course in this context, your organization protect its data from unauthorized access and misuse and alteration, and of course loss of data while ensuring that the authorized user himself or users, let's say in terms of the plural form, have the access they need to perform their contractual obligations, which they're supposed to be obliged to. You stated the purpose of the policy. What an interviewer want to see is that whether you have the ideas of what you're talking about, what you have drafted. You told them the overview. You made mention of the purpose of the policy themselves, because the purpose must be understood and well known, to protect confidentiality, the integrity, and also the availability. In another word, you can use CIA. Remember the word we use CIA tried? Okay, you mentioned it. You're able to highlight that the purpose of it is also to ensure unauthorized individuals access to sensitive data. You mentioned also that to comply with legal and regulatory requirement, that is very, very key anywhere you work. That's why the legal people like barristers here always excel a lot in data governance and also to reduce risk of data breaches inside threat and also cyber attack, like the one that happened to Jaguar recently. They lost up to $200 million recently. How many weeks? I think nearly 2-3 weeks. So I'm not too sure. They lost $200 million within that short space of time. Okay, you mentioned the scope of the policy, how this policy applies to the scope, and that is very key. You talk about all stakeholders, which involve all employees, and contractors, and also third-party vendors. Every policy must come out with a scope, and that number one scope must be all stakeholders. Very important. And organizational data, whether structured or unstructured or electronic or paper, so they have to be part of the scope. And all systems and devices, we mentioned laptops as well, used to store processes and also other database. That is very key. You really, really nailed it. And you now came out with, policy statement. I love that. Tailored to your organization and, talking about access to your company's data will be controlled through role-based security. You mentioned it. Strong authentication and monitoring. I love that. Okay. And you made mention of the key principle that guides, which have got the guidelines that guide the policy as well. And you mentioned a different level of it. Notwithstanding, also you talk about one of the principles is least privilege. Will you define them? Those are what are the category of the least privilege? The policy you mentioned need to know. What do you mean by need to know? The sensitive data that's also accessible only to those with business need. And you categorize it within your policy, which is really very good. Key things, key principles of your policy, you highlighted them. And also what comes with it, you mentioned them in terms of responsibilities and also the standard and guidelines that you use in doing that. You mentioned it. And the processes and controls of the same. You mentioned it in terms of onboarding and offboarding, what can be done, when onboarding, how you granting people access or offboarding? Are you removing access to whoever that is or any employee or third party that is leaving? You also mentioned the access request and approval. That is so key. You mentioned it seriously within, and you talk about the compliance. Now, depends on where you're working. In this case, you say you're working in Nigeria. Okay, you mentioned
Yes.
the compliance alignment where you have not. I didn't quite get the regulatory
Nigerian Digital Protection Act of 2004.
2000. Yeah, 2004. Yeah. Yeah, I think put it on the chat group so that people could be aware of that because I'm not too aware of that art, which is good. This is where we all learn it together. So, and if you are, for example, if you are working in United Kingdom or Europe or America, which one will you mention?
So if I'm working in America, America has so many, but I will mention the HIPAA, but there's
Mhm.
one for California also has theirs. I think this is CCPA, something like that.
That's correct, yeah.
The CCPA. So, but for Europe, we know mostly like the UK is GDPR that is mostly responsible for those regulations in the UK.
That's correct. But if you are working in a financial sector, what will you do? Which one of the one you will
I
refer
think
to?
the most part is the PCISS.
Which
The P,
was, yes, that has something to do with, you know,
PCISS.
card data and whatever. Okay. What about fintech where that require SOX? Remember that as well. So those two are very key. Even when you have GDPR or HIPAA or CI something in America, sometimes you need to know the sector you're working in apart from the general like GDPR, but this GDPR is applicable to any of those, any sector. And then in Europe, in most cases, but specifically, you need to talk about if you're fintech or whatever. That's really cool. It's really cool. I love that. I love that. I'm very impressed. Next time you're going to say it, I want you to bring your face and talk to us the way your brother Sylvester is talking to you. Okay? I want to see that energy. Okay? As you have brought it out, you talk about the training, which is so, so nice. Training is so, so nice, and awareness. That means you did not just only draft the policy. In that policy, you enshrine training and awareness in it so that people will know why this training is necessary for this policy to be strictly adhered to. That's very good. You talk about the monitoring as well and reporting. You put some you see the amazing thing during your articulating the policy you put together, um, you put automated alerts. I think I heard that. You
Yes,
did,
sir.
yeah. You put automated alerts for suspicious access. That is very, very key. That means you have put monitoring system that if anything goes wrong, it will be seen. Okay. It's just like whenever I'm doing delivery, when I'm sharing something. If somebody is doing something somewhere else, I will tell the person, I don't think you heard me before when I say, you're doing something there. Don't worry, you need literature, I will give it to you rather for you to be taking screenshot or photo or whatever copy. I see it here. So I know why. That is very important because every employer wants to know whether you still put in place monitoring and reporting system. Okay. When things are not well done, that's why you see breaches taking place. Above all, you may mention of one of the components, which is enforcement. And what happened, disciplinary or loss access or
Legal
terminations,
action.
violations,
Yes.
you put all those ones there. And every policy need to have review. Review could be annually, could be by monthly or whatever. Depends on even, no matter how it is, put a review date. And it could also be reviewed as approved or necessarily deemed fit because of, circumstances as well. Okay. Like if there's a breach and you detect why this breach took place, you can review the policy quickly to accommodate the, the reason why we should review it as at then the review takes place from there. The society. Thank you so much. I quite appreciate that. Seriously, I appreciate that. Okay. Right. Thank you so much. Paul, can you talk now? Hello, Paul. Oh,
Good
he
morning,
says,
sir.
oh
Good
yeah,
morning,
wait.
sir.
Oh yeah, can you talk now? First of all, start if you have access to talk. Can you start with initiative and then the policy that you can talk about, or whichever maybe which one comes first? Then we'll be very glad to follow.
Okay, let me start with the policy.
Okay. What policy have you got?
I chose data security and access control, but he seems he has done the same thing on the chat group. That was what I chose. Well, are we allowed to do the same thing?
Oh yeah, if you want to.
Okay, so this is a social media company. I just brought up the name ChatMe is the name of the app the social media company owns. So you'll be hearing ChatMe a lot in the policy.
Okay.
So this is ChatMe data security and access control policy. The purpose of this policy is to ensure that all data handled within ChatMe, including user profiles, posts, messages, and advertising insights, is protected against unauthorized access, misuse, or disclosure.
Mhm.
Protecting user data is central to maintaining trust, compliance, and platform integrity.
Wow.
Our scope, this policy applies to all ChatMe employees, contractors, moderators, vendors, and third-party partners with access to ChatMe systems. All categories of data, including user profiles that include account information and login details, user-generated content, which include posts, comments, images, and videos, private communications, which include direct messages and chats, and ad targeting and engagement data used for personalization and insights. The following are our key principles: confidentiality. Our user data and private content are accessible only to the authorized personnel. Integrity. Data must remain accurate and free from unauthorized modification. Availability. Systems and data must remain available to unauthorized users when required. Least privilege. Access is limited strictly to the needs of an individual's role. 5, transparency and accountability. All access and changes to user data are logged, monitored, and auditable. These are our access control rules. User authentication. All staff must log in with unique credentials secured by multi-factor authentication. Role-based access control. Moderators may access flag posts or content reports, but cannot access private user messages. Engineers must use anonymized or test data sets unless explicitly authorized. Marketing/analytic teams may only access aggregated insights, not raw user-level data. Access reviews. Permissions are reviewed every 3 months and revoked immediately when roles changed. Separation of duties. No single employee should have end-to-end control over sensitive processes. Termination procedures. Access is revoked immediately upon role change, resignation, or termination. Data classification and handling. Public data. User content set to public by the creator. Internal data. Platform performance metrics and internal company records. Confidential data. User account details, analytics, and employee data. Restricted data is highly sensitive data such as private messages, payment details, and identity verification data. These are our handling rules. Encryption at rest and in transit for confidential and restricted data. Secure storage only in approved databases/systems. Deletion processes aligned with GDPR right to be forgotten. Our technical controls, encryption, AES/256 encryption for stored data, TLS for data in transit. Network security, firewalls, VPN, intrusion detection/prevention. For logging and monitoring, all access to restricted data is logged and reviewed. For session management, automatic timeouts after inactivity. For password security, we have strong password enforcement, rotation, and prohibition of default credentials. Our user responsibilities. Use only ChatMe approved devices and accounts to access company data. Never share login credentials or bypass access controls. Only access data needed for assigned work duties. Immediately report suspected data leaks, security incidents, or unauthorized access. Maintain confidentiality when handling user or platform information. Then for compliance and legal information, this policy aligns with global privacy and data protection regulations, including GDPR, rights to access, correct and delete personal data, CCPA, which is our Consumer Rights for Data Transparency and Deletion, PCI-DSS, where applicable for payment data, HIPAA, where applicable for health-related data shared through ChatMe. 9, enforcement and disciplinary action. Violations of this policy will be taken seriously and may result in disciplinary or legal action. Examples of violations include, but are not limited to, unauthorized access to user data or systems, sharing login credentials or bypassing security measures, misusing data for personal or external purposes, failing to report security incidents. Consequences may include verbal or written warning, suspension of access privileges, formal disciplinary action, up to and including termination of employment or contracts, civil or criminal prosecution where applicable under the law. Review and updates. This policy will be reviewed annually or sooner if regulatory requirements change, new ChatMe features, introduce new data types, or security incidents highlights weaknesses. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know who is clapping for you? It's His Excellency. Yeah, His Excellency Lawrence. Let me join in clapping for you. What do you think? What do you think? Let me just leave before I ask that question. Can I ask anyone who can say a word or two concerning the what do you think about his presentation?
For me, Paul did very well, but are we drafting the policy in an interview setting, or are we just saying that we should draft a policy which needs to be given out there or to be in an interview?
The reason why these policies are being done now is when you are employed, you are about to draft a policy. But question is that if an interview now asks you a question, say, are you aware of any policy, or have you drafted a policy before? You say yes. Okay, which of the policy is it this? What do you think comes with it? That's when you could just collectively be bringing things out. As long as you know the components of each of these policy, you can just mention them, but you don't need to say it explicitly unless you are asked to. So, but many people, the problem most people have when they resume of whether Greenfield or Alfred, they know policy is one of the components of data governance. They don't know how to draft policy. It's not just simply mentioning the policy name. What goes into the policy? If you look at the first thing, let me share quickly if I can, if I have, let me share something.
Okay, while you're trying to share, I think Paul did very well because he mentioned everything that has to do with the policy. He talked about the purpose, he talked about the scope, he talked about the key principles and how he would collect and process the data. He also talked about disclosure and he talked about the roles and responsibility. compliance and review. He practically touched everything which is required in implementing a policy. And of course, he actually talked about the dates it will be effective from and when it will be reviewed, although he didn't tell us the time, the scope. He didn't tell us what the durations will be for each review to take place. Is it going to be a review done annually, or is it going to be done? Is it going to be
I
done every
think
6 months?
I
Did
think
he?
he mentioned it annually
I
or
said the policy will be
as
reviewed
deemed
annually.
Okay.
annually, and I
All
say
right. I missed that
as
part.
deemed to be reviewed as because there could be emergency for any review. I think he mentioned.
Yeah, I
Okay.
say annually or sooner if regulatory requirements change
So yes,
or
Okay.
new
yeah.
features introduce new data types.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially when you are doing migration or maybe scalability. So then you can't wait till annual review before you can do such policies to accommodate the robustness of the activities you want to carry out, especially when you have complexity of data to handle. Now, if you look at what I'm sharing.
Absolutely agree with that, especially when we look at the coronavirus period. All the policies for most organizations changed because at that time people were going to work 5 days a week, but suddenly we started hearing of flexible working or not even coming into the office at all. So a lot of policies.
Even with that, there's also a policy of working flexibly or working from home because of GDPR and all that. So a lot of things I drafted the policies and I know what I miss. Okay, can you see what I'm sharing? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know James I is cashing £125,000 per annum anyway. So let me move to the next one. If this data
I
governance
can't see
policy.
what you. Wow, let's work again.
Don't worry, you'll be okay. It's something you have seen before. So it's not a joke. The only thing is, what can you see to develop data governance policies? You see that? This one, that means seems to be what? Which field would this
Core
one be?
responsibilities.
Yes. To say yeah, core responsibility, thank you. To develop what? Data governance what?
Governance
Policy.
policies.
Policies. Example,
e.g.
data retention
retention.
policy. Now, if you hear the word to develop data governance policies, what does that mean? What field is this?
It's a green field. It's a green field, but at the same time, okay, not to develop. So it could be that there is an existing policy, but then you want
So
to,
if there is an existing policy, so what field is it?
it will
Brown?
become a brown field.
So it's a brown field. But if it's a green field, it will be to what? To create.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So always remember this word. When you look at them, just your eye will just know that, oh, there's a field. But it might also be green field because they can deceive people that it's a brown field. Meanwhile, it's a green field. Okay, the next assignment that we might do, I will do it right here. Instead of sending it to you people, maybe I can send you people to look at, or we might like to do it right here and then we do it
Okay.
about, because that is a serious case. When you are employed, what will you do first? Those are very important things we need to do. So on that basis, I want you to know that talking about policy. So this is where I'm coming from. And in the interview, they're going to say, oh, have you drafted policy before? Your work policy, okay, retention policy or security policy. Oh, that's very good. What comes with it? So you just skeletally give the component for each of the policy, skeletally. And then they can tell you, oh, can you throw more light? That's why you now begin to come out with all the flesh, okay? I mean, you ask a question, and that's why I know why you ask the question, so that people have to be aware. Of course, you know that before anyway. So, right, stop sharing on that. So, who else need to ask some few questions or say something about what our brother Paul said? I mean, the policy he came out with. But
I think it's a bit clearer now because I was thinking if it was an interview, then just as you just correctly said, now it has to be skeleton that you need to give to them. and
Yeah.
then wait until those questions are asked to you.
Yeah.
Literally,
Because
they'll be looking to get an answer within a minute. As soon as you make it that long, it becomes boring to them, and
absolutely.
you make it very not interactive, but make it very sharp that you can release those meat inside the question, and then allow them to take a jab on you, and then you can now release some other notes that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So how can you say about Paul? His Excellency? His Excellency Paul Lawrence?
Yes.
Ambassador Lawrence, yeah. So poor delivery with respect to content-wise?
Yeah, I think the delivery was good in terms of capturing everything. It's just I'll just really literally rate it 100% because it captured everything that was said. Again, just like I said earlier on, it's just about the right time to release all, or the right time to just say few and wait for them to take a jab on you. So that's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Barrister, can you talk where you are? It's like, oh, you're very busy in one way or the other. Okay, to be quite honest, the process and the procedure were well touched. And yeah, the difference is that we have different companies that you use. James used different companies. So the important thing is that we should know where we are operating from and also know the kind of jurisdiction in terms of law and regulations as well. That is very important. So thank you so much, Paul. Do you want to talk about initiative? Or
Let
hold
me
on. Hold
read.
on.
Okay, sorry.
Before you, I think if do you want to have a go with any of the policy if you have time?
No, well, I think Paul basically touched on all of them, but if you want me to have a go, I was involved some years ago in drafting, I hope you can hear me, in drafting a policy for the church. So, but the one I'm going to touch on is for the children's church, data based on data. The purpose is to protect the privacy and security of personal data belonging to the children, to the parents, and to the staff. And of course, our approach to data management, ensuring that it complies with relevant laws and regulation. And the name of the church is the Divine Grace Commission. The scope applies to all employees, volunteers, and any third-party vendors who handle data on behalf of the Divine Grace Commission's Children's Church. Key principles which are included in the policy, we're making sure data protection, making sure everyone's data, especially the children's data, are protected from unauthorized access, disclosure, alteration, or destruction. Data minimization, making sure we collect only the minimum amount of data necessary for children's church activities, which will just be the names, age, and any health issues which the children may have or that child may have. Data accuracy, will ensure the accuracy and integrity of the data we're collecting is real, so not making any assumptions. Data retention will make sure only the data of the children are retained for only as long as the children are in the children's or that child is in children's church. We will not retain them for longer than usual. Data security will implement robust security measures to protect the data we have been given by that parent or guardian of the child. And then another of the policy is making sure the data we are collecting and processing have got parental consent. We will obtain only explicit consent from the parents or guardians before collecting or processing that child's or children's data. I refer to child and children because some parents have more than one child in the children's church. Data types will collect and process data for the following purpose: registering and attendance records, communicating with parents and guardians, child safety and welfare, and of course, educational activities. We will also make sure that the data collected will only be necessary for the specified purpose and for no other purpose. On that data, I will also have another heading which I drafted, data sharing and disclosure. And I said, we will only share data with authorized parties, including children, church staff and volunteers, parents and guardians, ministry partners and organizations, of course, with parental consents. We will enter into data sharing agreements only with third-party vendors and partners and no other person. Data security and storage. We will ensure that every data collected is stored securely, making sure we use encryption and access controls. We will regularly back up data to prevent loss, and we will only respond promptly to data. We will respond promptly, take out the only, sorry. We respond promptly to data breaches following established procedures, which can be found in our other guidelines. Then individual rights. Parents and guardians will have the right to access their child's personal data. Parents and guardians will have the right to correct any inaccurate data. Parents and guardians will have the right to request data deletion when they find that there's something untoward with that data. Roles and responsibilities. The data protection officer is none other than Sister Peace Thomas, who is responsible for overseeing data protection practices and ensuring compliance. And all staff and volunteers must follow this policy and report any data breaches to Sister Peace if there are any concerns. Compliance and review. We will only comply under regulatory compliance. We will only comply with relevant data protection laws and regulations, including GDPR and COPPA. GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulations, and COPPA stands for Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And the second point there is this policy review. The policy will be reviewed regularly to ensure its effectiveness. And then we also have another heading which comes under implementation and training. All staff and volunteers are expected to receive training on data protection and this policy. And of course, all staff are expected to comply with that. Awareness will protect awareness of data protection best practices. Effective date of this is the 26th of September, 2025. A review to this will be done in 6 months' time. Thank you. And that is the end of my data policy.
Wow. If anybody let me join. I always join in. I'm always joining His Excellency. Whatever he does is what I will be doing.
Thank you.
I join His Excellency Lawrence. Right. What can we say about this?
I think this was another, can I call, excellent policy, thoroughly written. Again, coming from an area which we might not be used to. So it's coming from an NGO, charity organization, a church. So again, that was, for me, an eye-opener. So I thought it would be just, the IT world and all that. But now it came from an NGO. And it was excellently written. She mentioned about GDPR, the compliance bits, and she just didn't mention GDPR. She made sure she told us what that really means. So, if I'm going to say, maybe if this is an interview, I could say, assume that I don't know what that means, but she mentioned that and then she told us what it meant. And also she mentioned about COPPA, to COPPA. And again,
I have never heard that since I was
I've never
born.
heard that. That's what I'm saying. I've never heard of it. And again, she said the full meaning of that, and I was like, wow. So I thought that was brilliantly written. Again, she mentioned about not just a policy, but there'll be a training that will be ensuring that people tend to fully understand what their roles and responsibilities. So that training was key. Mentioning it there was another key point that I can say wowed me. And again, she mentioned the frequency of the review, the effective date. So it's not just it's starting this day. So clearly written there. So I could say, Efe, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your
Thank you.
course. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other person? I'm also very, very glad all the time that when we gather here in practical terms, bringing arts, pulling things voraciously from your level of intellect and let everyone begin to know. It's amazing, really amazing. I could see that this policy that if you brought is a comprehensive policy that entails almost aspect of data governance in short form. Unlike each of us who have attempted to give policy based on one aspect of data governance, like security access. So this one comprehensively finished almost all the policy in one go, short and precise. And I think we might have to also work on that in terms of policies all embracing in terms of data governance and management. So thank you for bringing that out. Paul, have you got initiative to give because of time?
Sorry, sir. Madam Peace was
Peace.
trying to say she wants to present.
Peace. Peace, please. Which one are you presenting? Are you policy or
Policy, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
ES. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir Zama. Thank you for this opportunity. I did policy on data ownership policy, data ownership policy. And the purpose define the role and the responsibility of data owner within the organization to ensure proper data management, protection, and compliance with regulatory and organization applies to all the employees which manage or use the data owned by the organization. Definition: data owners an individual or role responsible for integrity, management, security, and proper use of specific data assets. The data steward, a person responsible for managing data quality and assisting on behalf of the data owner. The data custodian, IT personnel responsible for the technical environment which data is stored. Data user, an employee or third party authorized to access or use data. Sensitive data, data that must be protected from unauthorized access, including personal, financial, and confidential information. Policy statement: every critical data asset must have designated data owner who will be responsible for ensuring that the data is used in accordance with organizational policy and legal requirements and timeless. Approving data sharing and integration. Roles of responsibility. Data owner must define data classification, control access, ensure compliance, identify and classify data under their responsibility, define access level and approve that access request, work with data steward and custodian to ensure data integrity and security. Data steward, monitor data quality, report data inconsistencies, report data owner in policy implementation and documentation. Data custodian, implement technical control environment, backup and restore data, monitor data access and report anomalies, managing storage and infrastructure. Data user must use data only for authorized purposes. Protect sensitive and confidential data, report suspicious misuse or branches. Data classification, public, freely shareable, internal, limited to internal user, confidential, restricted access, highly confidential, access only by specific rules. Data owner responsibility, compliance with data protection law, GDPR, HIPAA, approving data sharing and transfer, managing the data life cycle, creation, retention, and deletion. Enforcement, violation of this policy may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment or contract and legal action where applicable. Review and update. The policy will be reviewed annually, biannually, or when significant changes in data practice, law, regulation occur, or organizational needs. Reference, your organization's security policy. Thank you, sir.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah. Thank you so much.
My voice is
Yeah.
done.
Okay. Can we say something about it as well? We're here as a family now, so we know the best way we can shape in ourselves, where the best way we can do something. That is fantastic. So right, can we say something about it, please?
So please mention the purpose for which she's implementing the policy. She talked about the scope, and she also talked about the dates for which it's effective and how often it will be reviewed. Got that. I'll give a chance to someone else.
Okay. Yeah. Paul, what have you got to say?
So from what I can, we touched everything she could. I don't think my network is good enough for people to hear me well, but she touched everything, every single aspect of it.
Okay. Thank you, James.
It's okay. It's a brilliant attempt. At least we are progressing. Although there were times I thought maybe she was giving us definition of certain aspects. That's how some of our part came out. Sounded like he was trying to tell us definitions, but not really what the thing is supposed to achieve or do. But based on that, everything was okay because towards the end, she at least got it right for my own assessment.
Good. Barrister, can you hear us? Or can you contribute from where you are? Okay. All right. The law.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that was a good try. Um, I think this was something different from the first three we've had, which is good, giving us another perspective to, policies, data ownership policy. I think what the last speaker said, I'm not sure it was actually a definition. I think she was just trying to list the roles of each of those, like I said, data managers. Or yeah, so that's what I thought she was trying to do and explaining who they are and how they manage those data. But all in all, I think the key points were noted and captured. Again, there was effective date there. There was that retention policy. There is that review, and then the compliance bit was also mentioned. So overall, I can say it was an A star presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is what we are very used to doing, and we stand very tall when we are meeting a interviewer. But to be quite honest, whatever we are doing here, if we are short for faith, we also need to improve any time. It's a very good. It was wonderful, and the the only thing is more descriptive than practicable. Right? So if it's not about the description of what it entails, it's how it was done. Which of course we will look at all all the all the policy and see the best way we can do some few correction. Overall, it was fine. I love the attempt. Absolutely. Very, very good. So on this note, well, I don't think we can go further today, but there is something I want us to know. If we can come on time every time, and I want to go straight to when you are employed, the first thing you will be doing in terms of your roadmap and access and assessment with respect to the component of data governance in practice, and you'll be able to have a domain to which you can take some decision in terms of improvements and targets. That is very key. When you're employed, they can ask you, now, if you are employed, what value can you bring into the company? So this is where it becomes very, more interesting. So I won't send it as an assignment out. We will do the assignment right here practically. Is that okay, everyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
Good.
yes.
So those who are
Okay.
those who are not coming to their presentation, tell them they cannot come now. Okay, and also shortly after that, we have then we'll go to the use of Power BI in terms of
Great.
analyzing data. So
Great.
I know that when it comes to that, we should be ready to say you are overdue to go and do the work. Okay, because
Yes.
another cohort is starting soon, and we should be ready for the rest. And those who want to acquire their certification, make sure I sent email to some people already. Acquire them and let me know so that I can put you forward for some jobs that are valuable, because there are jobs that need to be filled. And those who haven't started their certification, I'll send links to you. You let me know on the WhatsApp group that you need certification, and they prepare you ahead of time. And those who haven't received literatures, please try as much as possible to give literatures to people this week, and we will get that done. We have literatures already, even updated ones. I keep on updating them with respect to the digital world and be driven by data now, because things are just changing and changing. So we are up to date. And that is why we are doing this, what we are doing now. No employer want to employ anybody who cannot communicate, who cannot tell someone what he had done, how would he do, and because sometimes they don't even waste time in an interview. They just want you to speak. And once you open your mouth and you're speaking, they know where. Even now, the AI is the one, first of all, as soon as you submit your CV, AI will prompt you straight to answer the following question. And if you cannot answer them based on the timeline given to you, within the timeline given to you, most probably will not be called to even discuss. So that's why when we are acquainted with what they need in the modern time, and then we don't have any problem. You might be thinking I'm very tough on people. There are people who are trained by companies, spend £5,000 to £10,000. Most of them can't even enter, they come back. There are people who go in for interview, let them alone, they come to us and have to prepare them for interview, they pay for that. So it is very important that we need to get things done ourselves, learn most things ourselves and see how it goes. Is that okay, everyone? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Good.
sir.
So next time we come on time and we just go straight to what we need to do. And after that, we ask a few questions. I think we're going to go straight to what we need to do. And also after that, we can talk about initiative and whatever, because I want us to get hold of that training. Thank you so much for
Okay,
coming.
sorry, sir.